Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Hold on a second. I just got a text message. I have until no later. I know you're doing the drop off now. Oh, I'll have to do that later. Okay. Anyways, hello. Sorry. I just got a text message from somebody at my son's school. Welcome. Hi, John. Thank you for being a member for 3 months. We appreciate you. Hello, yay. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Mr. Pike. I was still on the 13-second stream. You know what? I'll get streaming down one day. I promise you. Carolina, good morning. Good morning. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is March 21st. And we are doing a morning live stream. Hi, Venta. So I usually do a morning live stream where we just kind of chill and talk and hang out on Thursdays. But, you know, because I have kids and sometimes things just go awry, I have to, make some changes. So this morning we got John, for Curious Minds, a member for 3 months. Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. And today's going to be part 3 of finishing, or eventually we're going to finish this. It's a lot of Roberta Laundrie, but it's the deposition. We keep going through it. One of the things that I want to do is, try to be an adult, but I can't. When I talk about this family, when I talk about Roberta Laundrie, me being able to compose myself as an adult is damn near impossible. So with that being said, we are going to start where we left off yesterday, which was where she wrote, okay, long story short, if you don't know about Brian and Gabby Petito, which if you're on a true crime channel and you don't know much about them, I would be very surprised. Excuse me. Brian and Gabby Petito go on a van life trip. Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito go on a van life trip. Brian Laundrie ends up taking Gabby Petito's life. This opens up a very big conversation about domestic violence, domestic abuse, coercive control, and your sleep schedule. Yeah, my son has been up at 3 a.m. every day this week, so I'm there with you, John. It just opened up a huge conversation, and there is a huge conversation about the Laundrie parents and what they knew. So what we are doing today, if you are new to the stream, we are going through Roberta Laundrie, who is Brian's mother's deposition, because the Petito Schmidt family brought a civil lawsuit against the Laundries, claiming that they knew more and also that they caused the family emotional distress. From withholding information about Gabby while they were searching for her. So just to catch you up, this is our 3rd stream now. If you want to go back and watch the other ones to start at the beginning, you can do that. But we have gotten to the place where they're talking about what is called burn after reading letter, where Roberta writes this. That's Tavares. Brian looks like his mom. That is not a compliment. Hi, Tavares. We're talking about the burn after reading letter, where Roberta, as a mother, writes this unhinged letter to her son about how, if you hate my guts, I'll get new guts. If you need to bury a body, I'll bring a shovel and a bag. If you go to jail, I'll bake a file in a cake. If you go to the moon, I'll wait for your reentry. I am a mother of 2, a son and a daughter. This is not a letter that I would write to either one of my children. It's a very bizarre letter. So she goes back. Where we stopped at yesterday was she was talking about Brian and I shared a love of stories, and some of the language in the letter was using similar phrases to determine the depths of a mother's love. The 2 books that come to mind are The Runaway Bunny and Little Bear. And the lawyer asks, what language in those books do you feel was similar to your letter? And she said, well, I know in Little Bear, he went off to the moon. And the Mother Bear, there's a picture of her waiting for him to come back. And he comes back from the moon to see his mother. And The Runaway Bunny was just how no matter what the bunny did, she would always love him. I forget the exact book, But it was like, I mean, I forget the exact lines, but whatever the bunny did, she would always love him. Now she's referring to Little Bear and the runaway bunny. She talks about, somebody had brought up in my comments yesterday, which I thought was a really great catch and a really great point, and was the fact that she refers to Brian as a grown boy. Yes, Little Bear, like the cartoon. She never refers to him as a grown man. And we need to understand that at this point during her deposition, not only is Brian 23 years old, he's now deceased because he has taken his own life, because he has taken the life of his fiance, Gabby Petito. And one of the issues that not only myself, but everybody else has is the fact that in this deposition, Roberta Laundrie diminishes just everything about Gabby. And she talks about how at first she says she was like a daughter to me. I loved her. She lived in our house. I loved her so much. And as she talks over time, she diminishes her to just, it was my son's girlfriend. She was so wrong for bringing Little Bear into this. Little Bear had nothing to do with this. And so the the lawyer says, well, there's nothing in those books about burying a body, is there? No. There's nothing in the books about going to jail, is there? No. But that was the joke and the book from Gabrielle. It was sort of a combination of all these different references I knew Brian would recognize. Turn to the page, please, paragraph 8, that says, I repeat that the letter I wrote to Brian before he left with Gabby for their fateful trip was nothing more than a private communication between myself and my son, and I never expected anyone else to read it. So that's the other thing. We had talked about writing children a letter, and I actually have some journals that I have written to my kids since they've been born. I have two, one for my son and one for my daughter. And when I think about it, I just pull them out and I write little notes in there, just letters to them about, things that I remember, things that I don't want to forget. And it's always about them, how I'm proud of them and things that they're doing and they're growing and all of these things. And she says this was a very embarrassing letter. I put burn after reading because I wanted him to get rid of it because it was a letter that I didn't really want anybody else to see. And my question is why? As a mother expressing her love to her son, I'm not sure why you would want to have him get rid of this letter. You're just expressing your love. It doesn't make any sense. But you wouldn't want him to get rid of any other letter that you've written him about expressing your love to him. I don't know. I'm a 45-year-old body with a 13-year-old boy mentality. I also have access to adult money. It's a horrible combination, right? Why would you have one for your daughter? Only because it's her birthday week. I can hear my dog barking. Give me 1 second. I got to go let her in. But also, we know that Roberta is a habitual bullying mom and, would probably never write one of these letters. Hello. What is happening? Would probably never write one of these letters for her daughter. So I just ran up and down the stairs. Anyways, what do you mean by fateful trip? Well, I wrote that after. I wrote it and then my attorney helped me write it. And we didn't know at the time it was fateful until now we know it was fateful. That trip ended terribly. Well, one of the definitions of fateful is ominous, meaning that you know that something's going to happen. Were you aware of that? Well, yes, because now we know that something happened. So it was a fateful trip because that's how it's sort of like the Titanic. Roberta Laundrie, world-renowned comedian, has told us that she's made a lot of jokes. She's referred to now not only 9/11 in this deposition. Now we're getting to the Titanic. Oh boy. I swore this morning that I was going to be an adult. I said, and I promise you, that was a fateful trip. They didn't know it was going to sink, but it was like, oh, that fateful trip. And like a 3-hour tour. Not this motherfucker making a Gilligan's Island reference. 3-hour tour. Yes, right. Was the word fateful in that? But they didn't know and they took it? All right, let's take another break. Mrs. Laundrie, were you aware that biblical scholars interpret Romans 8:28 to be about murder? Objection to the form. No. Okay, I have no other questions. I do not have any questions. And I do not have any questions either. Remember that we talked yesterday. Now, for those who don't know, oh, that's right. Our friend John in the chat has a lot of thoughts about the Titanic. The way she was always switching what she's saying makes me not believe a dang thing on top of everything else. Absolutely. I don't believe a word she says, not one. The only thing I believe is when they're like, is your name Roberta Laundrie? And she says, yes. That's it. So Romans 8:28 is a passage that she put into the burn after reading letter about, or that she wrote to her son. That was, nothing can separate us, not the thinkable, not the unthinkable, not time, not miles and miles and miles, and so on and so forth. And she writes in there, Romans 8:28. Did you know it was about murder? No. Which is funny. Because she says that in this letter that none of this had to do with Gabby, yet she talks about hiding a body. She talks about baking a file if he's in jail. And then she goes to Romans 8:28, which I had no idea, is a reference to murder. So there's that. And I do not have any questions either. Remember that we talked yesterday with Mr. Laundrie about your right to read your transcript or waive that right. I would suggest that we read if it's ordered. All right. So we'll read the transcript if it's ordered. And Madam Court Reporter, I can't remember if I said this yesterday, but to the extent either of these are ordered, if both are ordered, I do want a copy. And the deposition was concluded at 11:52, the reading and signing of the transcript. Okay. And then we're done. Well, I thought this was going to be much longer. So actually, let's go in here. And now that we've done the Roberta Laundrie deposition, let's see if we can go, Google. Let's see if we can look at Chris Laundrie deposition. Chris Laundrie deposition. There it is. All right, let's see if we can get that. Oh, we do have that. Yay. I love the internet. Okay, so we found this. So now we're done with Roberta Laundrie, which thank God. But now we're going to move on to a whole new level of stupidity, and that would be Brian's dad. All right. So let's go back up to here. These are phone records. Let's see. Good morning, Mr. Laundrie. Good morning. I know you had your deposition taken before, but I'll give you some instructions. Yes, please be certain that you let me finish the questions before you start answering. Okay, yes. Oh, please answer orally as opposed to nodding your head. Sure. Is there any reason that you're aware of that you would be unable to sit here today and hear and understand my questions and answer them? No. Are you sure? Are you sure? I would have paused. Please state your name, Christopher Laundrie. Let's see. What did you do to prepare for your deposition today? Just read over my written ones and interrogatories, and we all spoke, but nothing much to prepare. Let's charge our brain, folks. If not, they'll be dead by the end. I promise you. I promise you. Okay, other than your attorney and your wife, did you speak with anybody else about this deposition? No. And I'm not even sure that he would speak. I don't know if Mr. Laundrie's is worse. We're going to find out. The cold and callousness that comes from Roberta Laundrie is mind-blowing. Unbelievably mind-blowing. You spent, and here's the thing. That's what I was just going to say. Other than your attorney and your wife, did you speak to anyone else about your deposition? No, I'm not even sure he spoke to his wife because he just handed out $25,000 to an attorney. And, Roberta in her deposition was like, he said something about it. I don't know. You said we all spoke together. Who else did you speak with? I mean, Stephen Bertolino and oh, shoot. What? That's how we're starting this. I mean, Stephen Bertolino and oh, shoot. Start your deposition with oh, shoot. Ryan Gilbert. I spoke to both of them. Okay. No one else? No. Can you scooch the docu? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. What is your address? Northport. All right. With whom do you reside at that address? Roberta, my wife. Has anyone else ever lived at that address? Who? Yes. Who? Ryan and Gabby? Brian and Gabby? That's probably just a typo, but I like it. And we'll get to the period of time that they lived with you. Have you ever been known by any other names other than Christopher? No. What's your date of birth? 6666. Current age 64. Married to Roberta Laundrie. Is this your first marriage? Yes. Is it her first marriage? Yes. Do you recall the date of your marriage? July 14th of. I'm not sure the date or the year. He's like, because I would like to forget that moment. Do you have children? Yes. Their names Brian and Cassandra. All right. Business phone number. Let's get to the goods, shall we? Prior to the current address, do you still have rental property? Did your family members ever live there? Who lived there? Brian lived in their rental property. We do know that. Prior to the time of the incident that brings us here for the cause of action, how long have you lived at that address? How long did I live there? Prior to that, yes. Maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay. Let's go. Venice. That I never lived in that long. Okay, great. What is your educational background? I don't need to know any of this. I want to know, what's this about? Have any employees? Roberta helps. Her name's, so he owns his own company? Are you the only person who works for that company? Roberta helps. Her name's on the company. How long have you been doing that? I've owned the same business. Did juicer services exist before he moved to Florida? Yes. Oh, he's a juicer? Squeezing the juice. And is that what you've done your whole life? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Varied percentages. Okay, so I want to go back to my question. Okay, here we go. Did you ever sign a fee agreement with him? So I assume this is referring to Stephen. Yes. Can you describe the relationship that you've had with Mr. Bertolino? So now if you guys are catching up, Christopher Laundrie is Brian Laundrie's dad, and Mr. Bertolino is their, I guess, family lawyer. We were friends and crossed paths. We're president and VP of the company. Got it. Have you ever been in any kind of business relationship with him? Well, I made investments. He made, I owned real estate with him. What kind of investments? Just property that I build or sell. That's about it. And was it just you or he or were there other persons involved? I don't know how he operates his business, but you make investments in properties and fix them up and resell them. And then there was an established percentage that you had ownership interest in. I had no ownership interest. Okay, so this goes to the fact that Stephen Bertolino is more than just a lawyer. It seems that they are friends. How do you know Mr. Bertolino? We were neighbors for a long time in Bayport, New York. Oh, interesting. When you say a long time, how long? At least 25 years, I guess. Immediate neighbors, 3 doors down. Can you describe the relationship? Okay, so then they're friends. Okay. Along with being his lawyer. Have you ever been to his office? Yes. Okay. Have you ever had him on retainer? No, I don't think so. No. Did you ever sign a fee agreement with him? Well, to be honest, I signed whatever he asked me put in front of me. I'd look it over, but I don't know what agreement it was. Do you know what a fee agreement is? No. He's just giving this guy money. Somebody needs to look into their business. A fee agreement establishes the relationship between you and your attorney that sets forth the terms of that relationship, the hourly fee or the flat amount. Do you ever recall signing anything like that? And we had talked about this yesterday. I have a lawyer. And when I call my lawyer and he is doing services, I get an itemized bill of all of the services that he is doing for me. It's not that hard. Any good lawyer should give you an itemized bill of what they are putting your money to. And the fact that the Laundrie parents gave a lawyer $25,000 and they don't have anything to show for it, and they have no idea how this money was used, is mind-boggling to me. Do I think that that's actually the case? No, I do not. Do I think that they know how these funds were being used? Absolutely. I don't know. I signed a lot of things in my time, but I don't remember. No. In 2021, did you sign a fee agreement with Mr. Bertolino? I would guess and say yes, but I don't know. Let me interject. We're getting close to a line, and I want to make sure that everyone understands that Mr. Laundrie has waived attorney-client privilege specifically and only with respect to communications with Mr. Bertolino from August 27th to October 31st as relates to the representation of Brian Laundrie. It's like going to a mechanic. Absolutely. You should, when your money is going to a person, you should know how it's spent. You said he's waiving it? Correct. And what's the time period? August 27th through October 31st. Tell me again the scope of the waiver. With respect to the representation of his son, Brian Laundrie. Well, I think he's waiving. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the privilege is between Chris and Roberta and Steve. Right. Is waived. But Brian's privilege with Mr. Bertolino, yes, is not waived. That's a good point. I just want to make sure there's a distinction in how you describe it. Yes, that's correct. That's Mr. and Mrs. Laundrie. So really none of it could be used, I guess. Okay, so this is about Mr. Bertolino. They talk about Cassie. Do they have any children? Did you attend her wedding? I don't care about any of this. How old was Brian when he passed? 22, I think. Where did he go to high school? Bayport on Long Island. Do you know the name of the high school? Bayport High School. Do you know when he graduated, or did he graduate? Yes, he did. Do you know when? I don't know the year. Did he have any post-high school education? No. So he didn't go to a trade school? No. Or a college or community college or anything like that? No. What did he do after he graduated from school? He moved down to Florida and he worked at Publix. Which Publix? Toledo Blade in Northport. So as soon as he graduated, he moved down here. It's pretty much maybe a month or two after he graduated. And you don't know what that year was. I don't know. Where did he live? He lived in our house. How long did he stay here? This is about him living in the rental house. I want to see how he speaks of Gabby, is what I want to get. This is more about Brian and Cassie. There's a lot of background. Here we go. How long did he stay there? Not long. It was maybe 2 months. Where did he go then? He went to move in. Well, he left. We went to a wedding. He drove to Florida. He was with Gabby at that point, so they left together. I don't know where they went to a wedding. From there, he left and took a road trip. But first, he lived with my daughter for a few months. Where? In so-and-so. Okay, do you know where he met Gabby? It was in the time frame when we arrived in Medford, and then in that 3-month period. And when you said he and Gabby left and came to Florida, did they move into blank at that time? We all went to a wedding in Maryland. They left from Maryland. I don't know where they went. They wound up at my daughter's house, my house where my daughter was living, and they lived there. They lived with them I guess they stayed for a few weeks, and then they left to travel across the country. There was a trip in 2021, correct? The first trip was, I don't know what year that was. Well, because there was a trip in 2021, correct? How soon prior, or how much prior to that trip was the trip that you were just referring to where he stayed with Cassie for a period and then left to travel? I'd say a month, something like that. So 2020. Okay. He worked at the YMCA. He worked at a pub. All right. Here, is any of this important? How long did he do that? Okay. And when you say he left, is that when he came down to Florida with Gabby? Yes. When he came down to Florida, did he have a job? No. At that point, I don't know what they were really doing. They were at my our house with the daughter. I don't think they worked in that time frame, and then they went on a road trip. Okay. What were Brian's hobbies? He liked to hike. He liked to stay fit. And so he did a lot of activities. He liked to draw, and he liked art. We should talk about Brian's art. It's very dark. Did he ever tell anyone that what he wanted to do with his career? Yeah, he actually wanted to have a farm. What kind of farm? Well, he was trying to figure that out. There were many options in his mind. Prior to dating Gabby, did he have any other girlfriends? Apparently, I don't know. I think a couple. You don't know who they were? No. Did you ever, prior to 2001, hear any claims? I think that's supposed to say 2021 because that's the year that this whole thing was in. Did you ever, prior to 2001, hear any claims that Brian had been involved in domestic violence? No. Did he have anger issues? No. Are you aware of whether he was ever involved in a fight prior to 2021? No. He was, or you don't know? I don't know. Describe Brian from high school up until 2021. I don't know how to describe him. What do you mean by describe him? Tell me about him. If somebody said, hey, I never knew your son. Hi, Lil B. Tell me about him. If somebody, he was a great kid. He was ambitious. He was outgoing. He was a great guy. Was he respectful? Absolutely. Was he honest? Yes. Had he ever been in trouble as a kid? Never. Not that I know of. No. In the 2020 to 21 time frame, what was your relationship with Brian like? It was very good. Can you describe the relationship that you had with him? We were very good friends. We were very close. Yeah, and we talked about whatever we wanted to talk about. We had a lot of fun together. We hiked. We did a lot of things. Was Brian closer to you or to your wife? I'd say equally. You better say equally because Roberta will punch you in the face. Can you describe Brian's relationship with Roberta in the 2020-2021 time frame? I think everything was normal as usual. There was nothing that I knew of. I can't speak for her. Do you remember when you first met Gabby? Yes, I do. When did you first meet him? We were so close. I don't know how to describe him. Great point. When Brian, a couple months when we got moved into Medford. A couple months before you moved into Medford. A couple months in, living in Medford. Jesus Christ. This is the same question. Asked and answered. What were the circumstances of meeting her? I was surprised because I've never heard of. He didn't speak of her, but I was surprised that he just came home with her and introduced her, and that's all. How did he introduce you to her? Let me rephrase that. How did he introduce her to you? He spoke of her one day right before, and then he said he wanted to introduce us the next day, and he came home with Gabby and introduced us. Did he say what their relationship was? No. Isn't it weird? This is live. Hi, Medell. Sorry, I messed up the other live. Isn't it weird to say you think your wife and son's relationship was normal? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What was their relationship like? Yeah, that's a good point. Because you would say, like, what was their relationship like? Good? They had a good relationship. Yeah, normal wouldn't be the first thing that came to my mind. That's a good point. Do you think they were dating or do you think they were friends? I really don't know. Brian introduced her and we went from there. Do you know if they went to school together? I know they went to the same high school. Oh my God. What was your initial impression of Gabby? She was very nice. She walked in the door and we spoke, and fine impression. You know what? I get the impression, and this is just the impression that I'm reading, is that Christopher Laundrie is the quintessential, like, old school dad. I go to work, I come home, everybody's alive. I don't ask my questions. My wife feeds me at 5:30 and I go to bed. Like that's the only like brain power that I get from this. You'd probably say, oh, they were really close, or like a specific. You wouldn't say, oh, I think it was normal as far as I know. Yeah, you would say like, oh, they had a great relationship, or yeah, whatever. To say that it was normal, that's a great catch. I like that. That's yeah. All right. Where is the other part? This is they didn't ask Roberta these many questions before she really got into the nitty-gritty. So let's see. October. This is the wedding. This is Medford. Relationship. Okay, here we go. Did you ever have any concerns about the relationship between Brian and Gabby? Any normal concerns of somebody new, somebody you know making commitments and all, but otherwise no? What? The question is, did you ever have any concerns about the relationship between Brian and Gabby? And the answer is any normal concerns of somebody new, somebody you know making commitments and all, but otherwise no. Can somebody explain that to me? What does that mean? Any normal concern? What does that mean? Yeah, we have our regular crew. I like it. Any normal concerns of somebody new? So like you have reservations maybe because she's new, somebody you know making commitments and all, but otherwise no. It's just a girlfriend. It's not like he asked her to marry her on the first date. He's saying he worries about a female committing to Brian because he knows what that means for Roberta. Did you recall any specific concerns that you had? No, I didn't have any. Did you get to know Gabby? Yes. What did you think of her? She was nice, very respectful. What were your thoughts on her joining your family? We welcomed her. Did you love her? Yes. Did your wife love her? Yes. Was your wife jealous of her? Not at all. Do you recall an incident in which your wife made a cake? Oh, God damn it, the pie. Oh, this is testing me. I said today, I am going to be an adult. I am going to, there's going to be no screaming. I am going to conduct myself like an adult human being, and this is testing me. Do you recall an incident in which your wife made a cake or a pie and Brian and Gabby were sitting and talking and not paying attention to your wife and she got upset and threw the cake or pie away? This fucking pie. This is all over some goddamn pie. I don't remember that, no. Did your impression of Gabby ever change over the time period you knew her until her passing? Well, we were all living together. We left it was, God, these people. The two of them. They can't speak in complete sentences. Imagine having to talk about how your spouse was jealous of your kid's significant other. John says lies, all lies. But you know what I say, John? Pies, all pies. I take it just as your normal concerns when your child starts a new relationship. Sure. Okay. All right. The question is, did your impression of Gabby ever change over the time period that you knew her until the passing? The answer, well, we were all living together. I don't. We left it was just a little bit of everybody moved in together, so it's a new experience. So otherwise, that's about it. And just if you think that I'm exaggerating how these people speak, this is it highlighted on the screen right here. This is how they talk. But did your impression of her ever change? No. How long did they live with you? 5 months. Gabby came and went. I'd say 4 months, really. What do you mean she came and went? Well, she'd leave for a week, go back north or wherever she was going. Yeah, so I'd say, the amount of time away was quite a bit. What kind of pie was it? I've been willing to fight over a key lime pie. Did you ever have any disagreements with Gabby? No. Did your wife ever have any disagreements with Gabby? No. That's a lie. I believe Roberta herself has said that her and Gabby, maybe not arguments, but they've had disagreements to the point that Roberta has said that she's apologized to Gabby. Am I getting that wrong? Did you ever see any disagreements between Brian and Gabby? No, which is interesting because if you look through their text messages, tons of disagreements between the two. I think the mom and son had a weird relationship. Yeah, join the club. Can you describe their relationship as you observed it, please? I thought it was a very good relationship. They were young, two young people really trying to have a good time, as they did as far as I know. Had they planned a wedding date to your knowledge? No, I thought they wanted to get married quick, but I didn't. That didn't happen. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, right. She had such a great relationship with Roberta that Roberta redirected her mail to go home. Back to her own mother's house in New York. Did you ever have any concerns about the relationships? No, just a normal one anyone would feel, You don't want him to get into something quickly or not quickly, but they might not be, but I don't. That's normal to me. What's normal to you? You've said nothing. This man uses so many words and says nothing at the same time. No, just the normal one anyone would feel, You don't want him to get into something quickly or not quickly, but they might not be, but I don't. That's normal to me. Have you ever, prior to December of 2021, met Joe Petito? No. Have you ever met Nicole Schmidt? No. Oh, wait, yes. Where did you meet Nicole Schmidt? At her home. Where? In Blue Point, Long Island. What were the circumstances? I was picking up stuff Gabby asked me to get. What kind of stuff? Oh, a skateboard. I don't remember the other items, but it was not very much. Why couldn't Gabby get them? I don't know. She was living in Florida, and I was living in Medford. So, okay, why did she want you to pick it up? Because she wanted it. You were going to bring it down to Florida. Yeah. This was prior to the time you moved down. Yes. He only met Nicole. He didn't meet Jim. How long were you at the house? 10 minutes. Was your wife with you? Yes. So Roberta and Chris have both met Nicole Schmidt, who is Gabby Petito's mom. Is that the only time you've met Nicole? No, we met her again picking up some more things for her at her house. Yes. Was there any other occasion where you met Nicole? No. The trip that Brian and Gabby took in, I believe it would be 2020. What did they travel in? This was Gabby's car. Any issues that you were aware of? No. How long were they gone? I don't know. They never came back. So they went to Florida. So I don't know how long they were gone on the road trip. I don't remember. Okay, so let's move to 2021. When did you become aware that they were planning another trip? The week before they left. How did you become aware? Well, when I became aware was when they put all the stuff in the storage unit. That's when I became aware and how. And I'm sorry, I get confused by the time. Where were they living at the time? When they went on that trip in our house. Okay. And you learned that they were going to take a trip because they moved things into a storage unit. Yes. What did they move into the storage unit? A lot of stuff in boxes. I don't know what they owned. Did Brian have an adverse relationship with Christopher? Why did they move it in the storage unit? I have no idea. You never asked them? No. Oh, this is another person in the Laundrie family that asks 0 questions. I have 3 adult boys and I'm very close to them. I know it has bothered some daughter-in-laws at times. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. My mother-in-law she's got kind of the same relationship with all of her kids. But I feel very lucky. Me and my mother-in-law are very close. I actually hope that, whoever my daughter marries or whoever my son marries, that I have the same relationship with them that I'm able to have with my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. Just friendly and, happy. Because I know that could be a really, big point of contention, and we don't have that. I don't have that. I feel very lucky. Had you asked them to remove some of their things from the house? No. So tell me you saw them or that they were moving into the storage unit. Tell me how the conversation about the trip came up. Well, I didn't see them move it. First of all, okay. I saw the receipt that it was on the counter one day, and when I realized because they lived together in the other half of the house and we gave them their space. It's interesting because I don't know. Maybe I'm just nosy. But like if I saw a receipt for a storage unit and my kid lives in my house, I'd be like, hey, you got a storage unit? When did you do that? Where's it at? Like for me, like I would ask those simple questions. I feel like they're very simple questions. But Roberta's and her sons isn't right. And that's saying a lot coming from me. So you saw a receipt on the counter in the house? Yeah. And did you have a conversation with them about the receipt? Yeah, that's how I discovered they were going to take the trip. Oh, okay. He did. But Roberta didn't. Tell me what they said. They said they were going to go back to New York and they were going to camp their way down to New York. That's what Gabby told me. And then they were going to move in with her grandfather and get their jobs back. So if I understood correctly, they were going to travel to New York, camp along the way, and you said they were going to live with Gabby's grandfather. That's what she said. Where did he live? I don't know. Long Island. Did you ask? No. It's what they said. You said they were going to get their jobs back. What jobs? Well, I assume he worked at the Bayport Flower House also before, so that was his last job there. So that's what they said. And what was Gabby going to do? I don't know. It's interesting that they talk about how she didn't work, and nobody makes reference to the fact that in the documentary, they said that she worked 50 hours at Taco Bell. So, I mean, it was to my understanding that she worked quite a bit. Did they tell you that they were planning a trip out west? No. The van that they took on the trip out west, did that used to be owned by you? No. Who owned it? Do you know where they got the van? That was a surprise to me. They even had it prior, so they bought it. I wasn't living there then when they bought the van. So they bought the van prior to December of 2020. Yes. At the time when you saw the van, did you know whose name it was titled in? No. Did you come to learn whose name it was titled in? Yes. Whose name? Gabby. When did you learn that? That was, Brian told me, I don't know, months after, I guess. So months after, they bought the van prior to December of 2020. Months after, Brian tells you the name it's in Gabby's name. When the police knocked on the Laundrie's door, they told the cops that it belonged to both of them. And then when the sergeant walks up, he said, I don't know who the van belongs to. The sergeant said, that's Gabby's van. And he says, well, I didn't know that. And the sergeant says, I'm telling you that. So you did know that. That's right, Critical. That's a lie. That's a pie. Okay? I don't know when he told me really, but he told me. Well, did he tell you before the trip or after the trip? Before the trip. Oh, my God. So you blatantly lied to police. Just asking for a friend. I'm the friend and some other people in my chat. You blatantly lied to police. You told the police that you did not know who the van belonged to, and then you said you think it was both of them, and then it was like, oh, I don't know. But you did know. You did know. Did he tell you who paid for it? No. Or did he tell you how they paid for it? No. Did he tell you who paid for it? No. Did he tell you how much it was? I have to ask you guys, as parents, isn't this something you would, this is stuff I would ask my 23-year-old sister. I'm going to be 40 this year. And like, if she came out of nowhere with a new van, I'd be like, oh, cool. Is that yours? You paying for it? That's cool. I don't know if I would ask how much it was, but I would ask other things. Where is the other guy from the past live who was insisting that the van was both Gabby and Brian's van? You know what? I think that was Cassie Laundrie in my chat. Did he tell you how much what was the purchase price? He did. What did he tell you? $7,000, something like that. Okay. Prior to the time that they left for the trip for New York, did they make any renovations to the van? Yes, Brian did. What did he do? He made it into a camper, basically. Tell me what you remember he did. Well, he put a vent fan on and the ladder on. He built bedding. He ordered storage, and that's about it. And then he made it look nice. Who is answering these questions again? Christopher Laundrie. This is Brian's dad. Yeah, critical. There was somebody in here during the premiere that was talking about how Brian was the victim and Brian paid for half of the van and that it's also Brian's van. Somebody in here who was adamant. And then I typed in, I go, is this Cassie? And they just disappeared. And they didn't tell you that they were going to make a trip out west, just that they were going to New York. That was it. I know they took a trip before. When did they leave Florida? A few days into June. Did you have communications with Brian when they took that trip? No. Do you know how long it took them to get to New York? No. But they were targeting the graduation date for Gabby's brother. Which brother? The one who was graduating. You don't know his name. I know it, but I don't know it now. But if you tell me it, I would recognize his name. Did you speak with him when he was in New York? No, I don't think so. Did there ever come a time where you learned they were taking a trip out west? No, I did learn it, eventually, but they were already out there. That's how it was when I bought my truck back in November. Everyone asked if the truck was mine and how much the truck cost. Yeah, it's just something you ask. Like, I don't know, sometimes you're just like, hey, oh, it's your truck? That's cool. And I've asked my sister that before because she's young. And I've been like, oh, like, is it yours? Like, it's in your name? Because that's also something where I'm like, I'm very proud of you. Like, you bought something on your own. I think that's very cool. So, I don't think that's like out of line to ask. Why they were going on the trip. Okay. Did you have any concerns about the fact that they were on the trip? No. I just don't know why they went. That's all, but I didn't ask him. Did you have any concerns about them going on the trip? No, they're adults and they made their own decisions and that's what they do. Besides going to Utah, did he tell you anywhere else that they were going? No. I have no idea where they were going. See, and it's interesting too, like as a mom, I don't care how old. I ask my sister. When my sister, who's 23, she'll be 24 this year, when she leaves my house, I'm like, hey, text me when you get home. Okay. Like just check in and text. I don't know. Maybe it's just me who's like, I don't know. So sometime after they left the home in the beginning of June until that phone call that you had with him when they were already on the trip, did you talk with him between that period of time? I think you spoke to him twice. Do you know if your wife spoke with him? I don't think so, but I don't know for sure. I don't think so. Was there ever a time where you became aware of any incidents between Brian and Gabby on the trip? No. What vehicle did you use for your juicer business? Now? No. What did you use back in 2020? I had a pickup. You didn't have a van? No. Yeah. And then I was like, and then I also told them, because they were talking about Brian Laundrie, and I was like, you can just say that you're an abuser apologist. That's fine. Like, you can just admit that in my chat. I believe Brian lied to avoid certain things with his parents, but I definitely think they know more. It's interesting because they claim that they don't know a lot, but I wonder if Brian, maybe Brian really didn't tell them anything. Maybe he didn't want to know because he didn't want to hear it, right? That's another possibility. Like if they're the type of parents who would really get into his life, like maybe he's just like, I don't want to hear it, so I'm going to go. Like it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. Maybe that was the case. When did you become aware of the August 12th, 2021 incident in Moab? And for those of you who don't know, on August 12th, a 911 phone call was made about a male hitting a female, which was Brian and Gabby Petito. They were pulled over. We've watched the footage on this channel. Very upsetting. Very, very just terrible footage. So that's what happened in Moab. And he says when it was on the news. Okay, and when was it on the news? I don't know the exact time, but it was on the news. After they returned from the trip. After Brian returned from the trip. It was after. So you weren't aware that there was a domestic violence incident in Moab on August 12th of 2021? No. Did you know if Brian spoke with your wife about that? No. I think it's just basic conversation to ask follow-up questions and act like you're interested in what the person is up to. I agree with you. But also with my kids. Like, I just want to know, like, what are you doing? And also, I don't think my kids will ever get old enough where I'm not like, hey, just want to check in. You making good choices? Like, you're just helping them. They're living for the first time. And as a parent, you've already like done these things. You've already made these mistakes. It's interesting. Christopher gives one word answers sometimes, but then rattles off back and forth others. He's inconsistent. I wonder which one indicates deception, if either. Interesting. But when the cops showed up at their house, it seemed like they already knew what happened. I feel that way as well. I think they're very aware of what happened. Absolutely. No, I don't think so. When was the next time after June of 2021 that you saw Brian? When he came and visited? When was that? It was in August. Does August 17th sound right? Yes. And why did he come back to visit? It was just to... Apparently, he said he wanted to empty his storage unit, which I find very interesting. Like this storage unit and emptying it, I want to know like what the purpose of this was. He said it was to save money. It was just interesting that it would happen in the middle of this trip. And what was done with this items in the storage unit? He put it back in the room that he was staying. Was the storage unit emptied in total? Yes. Okay. I guess that was a poor question. Was it emptied? The storage unit was emptied. Yes. How long did it take him to do that? I don't know. Not long at all. I don't know. But you go pick it up, an hour, 2, 3 hours, he's done. Why is that Brian came back to do that instead of asking you to do it? We offered to do it. He seemed anxious to come home to say, maybe he just wanted to come home, Interesting. So after Moab, and he tells his parents he wants to empty the storage unit, they offered to empty the storage unit. So, okay. So he says that he's doing this to save money, yet buys a plane ticket to go to Florida to empty it out and buys a plane ticket to go back to Wyoming when his parents could have just done it, which would seem like the likely thing to do if you wanted to save money. I want to know what the storage unit had to do with everything. Well, that was 5 days after the Moab incident. Was there anything that you observed about Brian when he came home that caused you concern? None. And he didn't tell you that there had been a police incident with he and Gabby just days before? No. And he seemed fine. He did. Did he have any bruising that you were aware of? No. Do you know why he came home alone? I have. I don't know why he came home alone. No, you... oh, wait. It goes like this. I forget how it goes. I thought he just wanted to come home and see us and say hello. Did you ask him why Gabby didn't come with him? It sounded as if she wanted time to make her website, so that was the only reason. The only reason that he said. She couldn't do it while she was there? I don't know. Did he tell you where she was staying? Yeah. What did he say? Well, staying in the hotel. I don't know where exactly. So you guys are trying to save money, and on top of flying back and forth, she's staying in a hotel now, which is costing more money. Did she say why she was staying in a hotel? She didn't feel safe, so Brian put her up in a hotel. Did he talk with you about the trip? Not really, no. Did you ask him where he'd been? No. Did you ask him how Gabby was? Yeah. What did he say? Everything was fine. How long did he stay home? Right. What was in the storage unit? Do you know that for sure? Carolina said, what was in the storage unit? Gabby's things. Yeah, I don't know that for sure. I can Google it. I can do that. Let me look. Google. What was in Brian Laundrie's storage unit? Five days after he back and forth. His and Gabby's belongings is what it says. Mommy's love letters. A whole storage unit full of them. Burn the storage unit. So this article says the purpose of the trip was... What? The purpose of the... Okay, according to Cassie, Brian's sister, the purpose of the trip was to help his father clean out a storage unit containing his and Gabby's possessions. Huh. Interesting. I keep my love letters from my mommy there. So who paid for the tickets? I don't know. We didn't. Do you know where he flew out of? Salt Lake. When he came home, did you have any concerns about him continuing the trip? No. Again, he told us again that they were going to Oregon, maybe work in a pumpkin place, and they'd get learning farming and help with that season of pumpkins. That's it. That's what he told me. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? So I think you told me that from the time that Brian left your home, Brian and Gabby left in early June. You maybe spoke with him 2 times. Yeah. And while it was on that trip, that he told you, and it was while he was on the trip that he told you that he was on the trip. Yes. What? Okay. How would you communicate with Brian? Just by telephone, or did you communicate other ways? Just telephone. Did you text him? Yes. Okay, how about FaceTime or anything like that? No. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1. Would you pass that down? This is your phone records. Yes. Hi, John. Do you have phone service with AT&T? Yes. The phone records I've provided you start July of 2021, so I don't have anything prior. I do, but I didn't bring it with me prior to that time. So it looks like the first time that you had a conversation with him was July 11th. If you'll turn to page 2, it looks like on July 11th, and I'll represent to you where it says, and it's down at number 31 to make it easier. Where there's 2, your number appears first under the column. Do you see the column originating number? Yes. Then your number at line 31 is blank. Yes. And where it says, and there's a number underneath for F, that means it was forwarded as I understand it, and there was a voicemail left. Do you have any reasons to disagree with that? No. Would you leave a voicemail for Brian? Yes. Okay. There was a phone call placed from your number. I'm sorry. There was a phone call that originated at blank. Was that Brian's number? I really don't know. I'm not sure. I'll represent to you through discovery that that's the number that's been represented to us to be Brian's number. Okay, so it looks like on August 4th, which would be 9:54, Brian called to you and spoke to you for about 15 or 16 minutes. Yeah. Do you recall anything about the conversation? No, I don't. Okay, but I know he called me. Turn to page before you turn. Prior to the time that Brian came back on the 15th, I believe it was of August the 17th. Did you have any conversations with attorney Bertolino about Brian visiting us? I'm lost in the timeline you're talking about. Prior to the timeline, Brian returned on August 17th. Did you have any conversations with attorney Bertolino? No, none. Okay. I don't think so. Do you know if Brian returned back out west after he left home? Do you know if your wife, prior to August 27th of 2021, had any conversations with Bertolino? I wouldn't know that, no. Turn to page 27. It's interesting. I'm just like looking inside of their marriage, and at least what they're saying on paper. I tell my husband everything. I'd be like, yeah, I talked to my lawyer today. I don't know. Greetings. How can someone lie 10,000 times with such ease? I don't know. Okay, yeah, I'm going down to the line. Okay, so we know that he speaks to Brian. Wait a second. And then going down to line 448 at 4:21, about an hour later after you left another message for Brian. Do you see that? Yeah. And then an hour after that, not quite an hour, 5:11, you left another voicemail message for Brian. Right. Why were you every hour for a 3-hour period leaving a message on Brian's voicemail on August 27th? August 27th is the day that they think that Gabby was killed. Why were you every hour for a 3-hour period leaving a message on Brian's voicemail on August 27th? I don't even know what day that is. What is that date? I don't know. Well, it's the date the FBI believes Gabby was murdered. Do you know why you would have called him 3 times within a 3-hour period and left him a voicemail message? I might have just been wanting to talk to him. Just on that day? No other day? Looking at line number 459, there was a phone call from you again to Brian at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, at 9:30. Do you see that? Yeah. And you spoke with Brian for 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 42 seconds, according to this. Do you recall what you spoke about? No. Okay, do you recall if on that date Brian told you anything about Gabby? I don't. I don't know the date in my mind here. Do you have any recollection of that phone call? No. Do you know if Brian and your wife spoke on August 28th? Yeah, I spoke with Brian, I'm pretty sure. Why are you sure you spoke with Brian on August 28th? Well, I know I spoke to him when we were at Daytona. We arrived on Friday and I called him that day. I don't know if that's the date. That's here on the 27th. I spoke to him on the 27th for sure. Okay. I'm not for sure, but that's the day. I remember. This is how I remember I spoke to him. I just called him because he got back from his trip visiting us, and I called him, and he picked up the phone, and I was very happy he picked up the phone. I was just saying hello. We were going to go to the race the next day. How do you know it was that day? Because the date of the race was the 28th. What date did Brian leave Florida? I'm not sure of the date, but I thought it was like 4 or 5 days before. So before Gabby was killed then. So if that was on the 27th, 5 days before that would have been August 22nd. So my question is, on the next day, the 28th, do you know if your wife spoke to Brian? I think she did. Okay. Did you speak with him? I don't know. Do you know what she spoke about with him? No. Do you recall how Brian's demeanor was at that time? It was fine. Yeah, we had a good conversation. You had a very good conversation about what? Oh, he got back there. Oh, he got back and they were going to go to that thing still, that pumpkin thing. And we were at the race. So he was saying how it was going. Just a normal conversation. Okay. Did he talk about Gabby? No. Did he tell you where he was calling from? No. On the 29th, do you know if you spoke with Brian? I get my dates mixed up here. The day after the race, you said you went to. Yeah, I spoke to Brian. What did you speak with him about? He called. Well, that's the day everything hit the fan, I think. That's when everything hit the fan. I don't know how I would act or how I would feel in this situation, but their continuing ability to diminish this whole thing and continue to make it so small is mind-boggling to me. That's when everything hit the fan. To me, when shit hits the fan, that's like when you have a day that's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? Like your pocket gets stuck on the doorknob and you go to tie your hair back and your hair tie breaks, and you go to pour milk in your cup and all the milk goes everywhere. And you're like, God, I hate today. And then something like bigger happens and you're like, oh, that's when shit hit the fan. The day that shit hit the fan should not be how you respond to a question about when your son took the life of another human being. You remember that your wife spoke with someone, but not yourself, and you remember his demeanor, and you don't remember his demeanor. Right. I'm now convinced this guy is totally playing stupid. He is just as knowledgeable and culpable as Roberta. Yes. That's what I believe as well. How did everything hit the fan? That's a great question. Apples don't fall far from the tree, and we know what their son did. Yeah. That Brian, Roberta had spoke to Brian that day, I think, and when he spoke, she got off the phone. She said to me, Brian said, wait a second. What? Okay, two things here. Number one, Roberta said that Brian called Chris and told Chris, Gabby's gone, right? But they didn't know that meant dead. But they had to call a lawyer. Now, hold on a second. Hold on. I think, and when he spoke, she got off the phone. She said to me, Brian said, wait a second. We're going to assert a spousal privilege for anything that you said to Roberta or Roberta said to you. So I'll tell you not to say anything that you said to her and she said to you. So now, after reading Roberta's deposition, and she said that Chris spoke to Brian, and Brian told Chris that she was gone, and Chris told Roberta that Gabby was gone, and Roberta was like, where did she go? Now, in Christopher's deposition, he's saying that Brian spoke to Roberta. Without telling me what she said to you, how did the shit hit the fan that day? I didn't say that. How did the stuff hit the fan? Things hit the fan. Every day I hate them so much more. So much more. Emily D. Baker is my hero. She's an icon. She's a legend. Whatever that soundbite is, I love her. Things hit the fan. Your son told you that his fiance, your future daughter-in-law, was gone, insinuating that she was dead. And you respond, things hit the fan. How did things hit the fan that day? Well, what did you learn about Brian? I called Brian because, I felt I should call him. Because I felt I should call him. Bullshit. And that's what I did. And what did he say to you? I asked him, how he's doing. And he was not calm. And he got very excited and told me things had, Gabby's gone. And he got very frantic. Everything was frantic and quick. So, Gabby's gone. Meaning what? Well, I have no idea what he meant. I fucking hate these people. I hate them. He calls you literally panicking. And you're like, I don't know. He's frantic. He's excited on the phone. Oh, damn it. I did this to myself. Ugh. Frantic. That's a great point. Yes. And you did not ask. Frantic. Gabby's working on her website at a hotel, according to him, 5 minutes ago. That's right. This is crazy and sorry for all the comments. No, comment away, please. All the comments. All the comments. Well, what else did he say? Well, it was quick. He said, and he was very panicked, and he said he didn't know what to do. He said, can you help me? And he might need a lawyer, and I asked him why he wouldn't tell me. He was very frantic. Everything was frantic. And I started not to really comprehend. And then he said, just, can you help me? And I said, okay, I'll help you. And I calmed him down and I said, I don't know. It was all mumbled and I still don't remember everything that happened. But, he said that he needed to help and to get an attorney. And I told him, yeah, I'll help you. I'll call Stephen Bertolino and just stay put. And then I asked him again and he just said, just help me. And I said, yeah, I'm going to. So stay calm, stay put. And he hung up. Did he say where he was? He did. Where did he say he was? Jackson. Jackson what? That's all he said. Jackson, Wyoming. He didn't say that. Was there any other Jackson out west that you're aware of? No. Did he say that he murdered Gabby? No. He said she was gone. He said it several times, and he was frantic. And he said he needed a lawyer. He did. Okay. Did you understand that to mean that something happened to Gabby? I understood it that something was wrong. Okay. Something was wrong, meaning what? I had no idea. Well, your son's frantic. He wants you to call a lawyer, and Gabby's gone. Did you believe at that time that he murdered her? No. I'm going to start drinking on these streams, honestly. Did you believe that she was dead at the time? Not at all. Where did you think? What did you think gone meant? I didn't even know what to think at the moment, at all. So that's that. Okay. Well, if he told you that she was gone, but she just walked away, would he have been frantic, do you think? All I know is what he told me, and it was very quick and very, very nervous and very scattered, and I don't remember everything he said, but he said he needed help, and I calmed. I tried to calm him down. He would not calm down, and he hung up the phone on me. Lil B, that's such a great point. My follow-up question would have been something like, where did she go? Did you call the police? Do we need to come to you? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what a mother would do. That's what a parent would do. My child is in a need. Get me on a fucking plane. Get me on a plane. I gotta go. I will help you in any way I can. And I will be there. Your son calls you absolutely frantic, screaming into the phone. You try to calm him down. He's screaming that Gabby is gone. You've admitted that that something is wrong. But somehow murder is not on your radar and you don't think to ask. You don't seem to ask, what happened? What do you mean she's gone? What does that mean? Oh my God. Lil B, I would die. Drinks, yes. For every lie, take a shot. I'll just chug the bottle at this point. And that was a conversation you had with him on August 29th. Yes. How long was the telephone conversation? I don't think it was 5 minutes. Which is interesting because at some point they have a 55-minute conversation. Your wife spoke with Brian on 2 occasions on Saturday the 28th, once at 9:30 p.m. for 7 minutes and once at 11:29 for 10 minutes. Do you know if at the time he mentioned that Gabby was gone? I don't know. I don't think I was with her during those at that time. Where would you have been at the time on the night of August 28th? I was at the race. Oh, and your wife wasn't with you? No. And then after that telephone call, did you contact Attorney Bertolino? After that call, yes. Okay. What did you contact Attorney Bertolino about? That just what was going on. I called him. I told him the same thing. Let him know that that's what happened. Tell me what you told him. I told him Brian called me. He was frantic. I didn't know what to do. And this is what he said. At first I thought, I don't know. I don't see him or speak to him or speak that often to him. So I told him. He didn't even know who Gabby was. You don't know or speak to who that often? Steven. Okay. So I explained who Gabby was and everything, and Brian was on a trip, and he called me. I called him, and this is what he told me. You know, that's it. So that's what I told him. Did you tell Attorney Bertolino that you were concerned that Gabby was dead? You know, I understand attorney-client privilege. I do. But I think in cases like this, like, there should be, like, if you're committing a crime or you've admitted to committing a crime and your lawyer knows about it, like, they should have to be like a mandated reporter. They should have to. After the conversation of how frantic he was, and, you know, it was something I thought we had to consider. After the conversation of how frantic he was, and, you know, it was something I thought we had to consider. Let's talk about this. So you had to consider that the possibility that Brian may have killed Gabby, or at least she was deceased, was on the table before he ever came home. And then you told police that you didn't know where she was. And then you told the Petitos and the Schmitz nothing. Oh, that's right, because they texted you guys and then Roberta blocked them and then you said nothing. Just making sure. So on August 29th of 2021, your son told you that Gabby was gone and you had a belief that she may be dead, correct? I didn't know. That's not what he asked you. He said you had a belief that she may be dead. I didn't know. He didn't ask you if you knew. He asked you if you just answered this. After the conversation of how frantic he was, you know, it was something I thought we had to consider. He was just stating, did you just articulate this correctly? Did you have a belief? The answer is yes. Okay, but you had a belief that she might be dead. Correct. I didn't believe that. No. What the fuck? After the conversation of how frantic he was, you know, it was something I thought we had to consider. I am dumber. You didn't. So what else would gone mean that your son was so frantic? What else? What other possible interpretation could there be of that? I don't know. I had no idea. But, you know, I can guess a million things for you. I can guess one. Well, did you guess one of them was that she just walked away? Yeah, it's a possibility. And if she just left. But that's great. What? Well, did you guess one of them was that she just walked away? Yeah, it's a possibility. And if she just left. But that's great. How do these people speak? But he didn't say she left, did he? He said she was gone. Okay. And if she just left and walked away, do you think he would have needed an attorney for that? It was a situation of how frantic he was. I had no idea what to think. He asked me to get a lawyer, and I couldn't get any more information from him. Okay. And I did what he asked for $25,000. I just did what he asked. He didn't say she walked away, right? No, not that I know of. I don't remember, but I don't think he did. He didn't say she was kidnapped by anyone, did he? No. What did Attorney Bertolino say to you? Well, he said, Well, then we did discuss that, maybe something seriously happened, and we would act accordingly to keep everything. We don't know. So that's it. So again, you believed that this is something you could consider. And then you say, no, I didn't believe that she was gone. And then you reiterate the fact that when you talk to Stephen Bertolino, that maybe something seriously happened. And, we would act accordingly to keep everything. We don't know. Y'all are just telling on yourselves. So Gabby was someone who lived with you, correct? Yes. Someone you said you loved? Yes. And you knew that her parents would have wanted to know if something happened to her, correct? Yes. Okay. Did you consider calling her parents? No. Why? You never even considered calling her parents. I didn't know. Because I had no reason. You motherfucker. The way that these two scum human beings, someone you loved, yes. You never even considered calling her parents. I didn't know because I had no reason to. Thank you, Madel. An honest answer from him, finally. Sabbath Countess says, Gabby's father and stepmother just did an interview with Megyn Kelly. Laundries didn't just lawyer up. They had their lawyer hire a Wyoming attorney. They knew. They don't care about Gabby's parents. You're right. If they had a trial with Brian and attorney knows there is a way the attorneys have to do the trial. At that point, anyone who knows law enough would see right away he admitted to the attorney. Right. At that very moment to think anything was going on, Gabby took off and did things that she, on her own free will. So I had no idea where she was. Well, Brian never called you frantically and hung up on you when she'd taken off and gone off on her own free will, had he? I don't understand the question. What is that question? You said that she'd taken off before of her own free will. Isn't that what you just said? Yeah. Okay. And should I call him then? No. But Brian he never called you and was frantic when she did that, did he? Yeah, I don't know. You don't know if he ever called you when no. Look, I know what he said on the phone, and I know, and that's how I responded. Okay. But he never called you before on those moments when she just walked off on her own, right? No. Okay. And he never told you on those occasions that she was gone. No. At any time prior to the time that Gabby's body was located, did you consider calling her parents to let them know what happened? I was concerned for everybody. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I want to make a shirt of like Roberta's face crying that says nobody likes my pies. You can find mom, dad, and the son in the GSM5. Everything you know, so you know it was very difficult to deal with. So I don't know what the hell to think. So, well, you're concerned for everybody. Did that include Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt? Yeah, I was worried about everybody. I was worried about Gabby. You were so worried about Gabby. You were so worried about Gabby that when your son called you frantic and said she's gone, you didn't even have the wherewithal to be like, well, where'd she go? You were so concerned for Gabby that you never asked where she went or what happened. Okay. So what did you do with that concern about Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt? I left it in my attorney's position there. Okay. I don't know what the right thing to do. I don't know how to respond to any of this, and still to this day, so I don't. I don't know how anybody would handle it, so I relied on attorney Steven. And all I knew, and that was that. Okay. And nobody likes my lies. I'll just put their two faces with like a rainbow that just says lies and pies. I do have a cricket. Do I have to make these shirts? I don't know if I could sell it with I could just make one that says lies and pies and everybody would know what it means. So I don't know what the right thing to do is. Well, let me tell you, Christopher, what the right thing to do is. The right thing to do would have been to hold your son accountable. The right thing to do would have been to call the police. The right thing to do would be to point a family in the position of Wyoming. The right thing to do would have been to lawyer up and then have your son speak to police about what happened with a lawyer. The right thing to do would have been anything opposite of what you've ever done, including lie in this deposition. So, okay. And then I could have thought anything. I care about everybody. Fuck you. Oh my God, with the utmost disrespect from the inside of my own anus. Fuck you. Are you kidding? I care about everybody. You know, I don't know what we're getting at here. Oh, you know what we're getting at. No, that's what the lawsuit's about. That I cared for anybody? I did. I care. And I didn't call him because it was, it was advice not to. That was Attorney Bertolino's advice, just to keep quiet? Yeah. Did he specifically advise you not to call the Petitos? Yeah. I mean, not the Petitos, but don't speak to anybody about this. Okay. Did you have a conversation with Attorney Bertolino about Gabby's family? No, I don't. We talked about a lot of things, so I don't know if we talked about that specifically. Well, from the moment that you got this phone call, when the stuff hit the fan, until Gabby's body was located, did you have a conversation with Attorney Bertolino about the Petito, about Joe Petito and or Nicole Schmidt? About them what? You know what just came into my head? Have you guys ever watched the Chappelle Show? With I just want to look at Chris and be like, bitch, you're making my penis soft. I don't know why that just popped into my head. What is happening? Why would I talk about the Petitos or the Schmidts? Why? I'm sure we talked about them. I don't know. That's a great point. Being it was an accident and a mercy unaliving per Brian, he shouldn't have had a problem going to the authorities. That's right. That's right. You know what I think? I think he hit her on the head and he thought that maybe she was going to die or didn't want somebody to tell on her or didn't want her to tell on him. And then he strangled her is what I think. I can imagine the detective. Maybe you wanted to punch him at the time. Everybody wants to punch him. He also has a very punchable face. So. Okay, what do you recall talking about? I don't recall anything. God bless it. I can't even get through a line. I cannot get through a line without just... I need a punching bag on this. Did he tell you not to specifically talk to them? He said not to speak to anybody. Did he tell you specifically not to talk to Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt? Not that I remember. Okay. Did he tell you not to take their phone calls if they tried to reach you? He said not to speak to anybody. Did he tell you not to respond to them on Facebook or by text if they reached out to you? We were told not to respond to anybody. When is the first time Brian spoke with Attorney Bertolino? The day he got home. He came home the 1st, I guess. September 1st of 2021. Going back to this phone conversation on Sunday, August 29th of 2021. Did Brian tell you the date that Gabby was gone? No. So he called you. Do you recall what time of day it was that you spoke with him on Sunday? It was later that day. Very, maybe 6, 7, or 8. I don't know exactly. Was that before or after he spoke with your wife? That I spoke to him? Yes, it was after. Look at that. Again, Roberta had said that he had only spoken to Chris. Okay, did you ask him when was she gone? No, I didn't get to ask him. Okay. Did you have any understanding in your conversations with him, whether it was that day or days before? It was. I had no idea. How a judge could have found that these two had no prior idea that any of this, how they got off scot-free with this is blowing my mind. Or they didn't. What happened with the civil suit? I forgot. Did they? Hold on. Let me just find out. Imagine not knowing if you drop $25K. Exactly. In fact, what was the result? Oh, there was a settlement. The settlement terms are confidential, and both parties agreed to resolve the matter to avoid further legal expenses and prolonged conflict. Gabby's parents were awarded $3 million in a wrongful death lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's estate. However, due to the Laundries' minimal assets, the recovery of this amount was uncertain. That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, boy. I hope that they are unable to sleep every single day. Did you pay Attorney Bertolino a retainer? I gave him a check, yes. For how much? I don't remember. I think it was like $25,000. When did you give him? When did you give it to him? I don't know. Was it before or after Brian got home? It was after. Do you know how much after? No, not long, I would imagine. I don't know exactly. Okay, from then until Gabby's body was located, did you have further conversations with your son? Well, I talked to him, but nothing specific. Okay. When you spoke with him on the 29th, strike that. When did you learn that he was going to come back home? He called. It was late in the day. I went to bed. Berta spoke. Oh, God, Berta. That's even worse than Roberta. Not that I have any hatred for Roberta or Berta, just in this case and this woman. Her name could be Lisa, and I would hate it. He called Berta that night and said he was driving home on the 29th, the 28th. On the 28th, it was a Sunday. Well, Sunday's the 29th. The 29th. Did he ever tell you where Gabby was? No. Did he ever tell you where Gabby was? No. The place that he was when he told you that she was gone was in Jackson. That's all he said. That's all I know. Did you ever disclose to anyone that the last place you spoke to Brian was in Jackson? I told my attorney. Okay, so Brian then returned home because it was funny when the cop had said, they're looking for her, and you said, I don't know where she is. You could have said, like, well, my son said, my son was in Jackson, but you didn't want to say that because you didn't actually want to help her parents find her or get Gabby home to her parents because you didn't actually care about anybody or anything. Brian returned home on September 1st, correct? Correct. Driving Gabby's van, yes. Do Do you know what time he got home? I don't know. I think it was earlier in midday. Did you talk to him? I spoke with him. What did he say? Not much. We said hello. Hello. How did he seem? He seemed okay. He seemed okay. That's what he said, yeah. Just days before Gabby was gone, and this is why I couldn't be a lawyer, because I would absolutely laugh in somebody's face. Just days before he needed a lawyer, now he's okay. I said he seemed okay, yes. Okay, he wasn't upset at that point? No. He wasn't angry? No, he was confused. But he, very subtle. So but something was wrong. As soon as my son stepped foot in the door, I would be like, what is going on? I need to know right now. I have no idea. He just seemed, you're asking me how he was. I'm saying, like he was like a kid who came home, in trouble. But that's how he seemed. A kid who came home in trouble for what? I have no idea. Okay. All right. Well, let's connect the dots. He told you Gabby was gone. He's frantic and he's upset. He's like a kid that came home and he was in trouble. Did that lead you to believe that he murdered Gabby? No. No? I don't know what happened. Okay. So I don't know what I could tell you. I don't know what happened. Did you ever ask him what happened? I asked him when I was on the phone and he panicked and freaked out. So I didn't ask. And after that, did you ask him? No. Why not? I didn't want. You didn't want what? You didn't want a zig-a-zig? I didn't know what to do. At that point, we were told not to discuss. Steven asked me not to discuss with Brian, and that's what I did. I didn't discuss. He told, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Well, he asked me not to discuss anything with Brian. He didn't want you to talk to your own son about what possibly might have happened out in Wyoming. Yeah. He asked me, don't get into it, Did Brian see any medical care providers or counselors when he came home? No. Were you concerned for Gabby? Yes. Fuck lies. Lies and deceit. What was your concern? Where was she? Maybe you fucking ask. Maybe you ask. You're so concerned about Gabby and you never ask where she is. You just think it in your tiny little brain. Well, did you have concern that if he murdered her, she might just be out in the open somewhere? No, because Gabby came and went. Gabby did what Gabby wanted to do, so I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But your son returned home after a frantic phone call in her van. Yeah. So you didn't have a concern about her? I did. Okay. I said, I was worried. Maybe I don't know what happened. So I'm speculating. I won't speculate anything. You won't do anything. Did you? All I know is that I was waiting for Brian to tell me something. Did you have a concern that her lifeless body might be out in the woods somewhere unprotected? Of course I wondered about Gabby. So, I don't know where she was. I didn't know what to do. So, at that point, I was following the advice, and I'm not speaking of Gabby to Brian. What was inside the van when Brian returned home? I don't know. I didn't see. Did you help him empty out the van? No. Did you know if Roberta helped him empty out the van? I don't think she did. Did he empty out the van? He brought stuff in, and actually I didn't see, or pay attention to it. God, these people don't fucking do anything. You told me earlier that there was a bed or a mattress in the van, correct? I didn't tell you that. You literally said that Brian built bedding for the van. You told me that he put something in there to sleep, didn't you? Oh, yeah. He built the van to sleep in, yeah. Was there a mattress in the van when he came home? I have no idea. Did you assist your son in removing anything from the van to avoid the police seeing it? No. At any time, did Joseph Petito reach out to you after August 28th of 2021? I don't know. Yes, he did. Did Nicole Schmidt reach out to you? I don't know. Did you consider how the Petitos might be feeling not knowing where their daughter was? Oh my fucking God. I don't even want to read this out loud. I'm a considerate person. Of course I was. It was not a pleasant thing for anybody, I'm sure. I'm doing it to myself at this point. Well, you could have made an anonymous phone call to report something, right? I have no idea. That's not my place. I'm taking advice from an attorney, and we're just doing what he advised. Did you feel any obligation at all as a parent to contact the Petito family? Anybody's going to think that way, but I didn't, You didn't feel that way? No, I didn't do it. I should have done it, maybe, but I didn't. And then but what are you gestures? What am I reading? Well, your son went missing at some point, correct? Yeah. And you know how awful, of course, the feeling was, right? Of course. So you know what they were going through, Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt. Not really, because I have no idea really what happened. At this point, during this deposition, you do know what happened. You know that your son took the life of another human being, drove home in her van, used her money, Venmo'd him money from her account, came home. You do know what happened. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Their daughter was missing. I don't know what happened. She was missing. Yeah, she was missing, but I don't know what happened. I don't know. Gabby could have left. Gabby did anything. Like I said, you said that. I didn't say that. Hold on. Yeah, she was missing, but I don't know what happened. I don't know. Gabby could have left. Gabby did anything. Like I said, you said that. I didn't say that. Well, you were concerned about your own son missing, weren't you? Of course. And distressed about that, of course. So you can imagine that they felt the same way. Right? Of course. What do you want? What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell them something that I'm not sure of? I want you to tell me that you knew their pain, but you did nothing about it. Well, I didn't. I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't. I wasn't able to help anybody. Actually, you were able to help everybody. You just chose not to. I mean, but whatever. When did Brian leave your house? The 13th of September. After Brian got home from September 1st until September 13th, what did Brian do? We all just did normal things. Normal things? Yeah, we did normal things. Your son murdered someone and you did normal things? I have no idea of that. I like how he's speaking in the present tense. I have no idea of that. He admitted to you. Actually, you fucking do. You went camping. We did. What other normal things did you do? Well, we went out. We went out to a park and took hikes. We did normal stuff. When Brian left on September 13th, did you know he was leaving? No. What was his demeanor on or about the 13th of the 21st? It was normal, fine, calm. Oh, well, he told Roberta that he had to leave because he was upset. The stress was getting to him. Attorney Bertolino used the word grieving. Was he grieving on that date? I couldn't say he was, no. Okay, did you tell Attorney Bertolino he was grieving? No. So you don't think he was grieving on that date? I don't know what he was thinking on that date. Did you authorize Bertolino to tell the public that Brian was grieving when he left on September 13th of 2021? I don't remember authorizing that, no. Well, did you? When you gave him a retainer of $25,000, what was that to retain him for? To represent us in what was going on. Why did you need representation? That's how I thought anybody would want representation. Why? Because it's what anybody does. Well, but you didn't. You knew Gabby was gone. You're not willing to admit that you knew she was dead. You think she could have walked away. So why did you need representation? Because we didn't know where Gabby was, and I don't know. That's what you do. No, what you do is ask questions. What does that have to do with you not knowing where Gabby was? I don't know. Did you ever try to get Brian out of the state? No. Did you ever transfer money or move money around to try to get him out of the state? No. Was Attorney Bertolino hired as your spokesperson? No, not that I specifically hired him for that. No. What? He was the only one who spoke on your behalf and your wife's behalf, on Brian's behalf, right? Yes. Is that something that you authorized him to do? Yeah, I didn't actually say I authorized it, but I was fine with it. Did you ever learn at any time that you and your wife were the subject of a criminal investigation? Yes. When? When the FBI was speaking about Roberta knowing something. Which she said she didn't know. I didn't know. Maybe. I don't know. 10-minute warning and then I got to go. Was it before after Gabby's body was found? I think after. And do you know what date Gabby's body was found? Yes. What? What was the date? The 19th of September. So it was September 17th that you learned that you were possibly the subject of a criminal investigation, or your wife was? Well, no, but I don't. What's the question again? You just told me a moment ago that you learned after Gabby's death that your wife was possibly the subject of a criminal investigation, correct? Well, that's when she was. Okay, for what? They thought they had some sort of communication or some sort of electronic thing. Is that when a new telephone was purchased? Is that when one was purchased? Well, you said some kind of communication. Yeah, that's what they said. Do you know what that specifically? We have no idea what they wanted, really. That's the other thing. Somebody's coming to you for a criminal investigation and you're not going to be like, hold the fuck on a second. What is it that you're investigating me for? Brian got a new phone when he came home, right? Yes. Why did he get a new phone? I have no idea. Were you ever interviewed by any law enforcement agency prior to September 19th? I don't know if you can call it an interview, but they came to do a report of Brian missing. That was on or after the 13th of September. After the 13th, yeah. When were you ever interviewed by any law enforcement personnel regarding Gabby missing? No. Do you know if your wife was? I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so. Were charges filed against you or your wife? No. And that's a statement stated September 14th. It's a document dated September 14th, 2021 on Attorney Bertolino's letterhead, correct? Yes. Did you authorize Mr. Bertolino to release a statement? Yes. Were you aware that this statement is going to be issued before it was issued? Yes. Had you been provided a copy of it before it was used? I have read this before it was issued, yeah. On your wife's behest, yes. First line says, after it says, statement from counsel for the Laundrie family, this is understandably an extremely difficult time for both the Petito family and the Laundrie family. What led you to believe that it was a difficult time for the Petito family at that point? Well, everything that occurred. Meaning what? Meaning everything. Meaning Gabby was missing and no one knew where she was? Yeah, okay. How was it a difficult time for the Laundrie family? We were worried about everything just the same. What were you worried about? What occurred? What do you mean what occurred? God, this guy is great at deflection. Gabby's missing and Brian's missing. So did there come a point between the time Brian disclosed to you that Gabby was gone and the issuance of this statement on September 14th of 2021 that you thought maybe she just didn't walk away? It was becoming more of a thought, I guess. Yeah. Is it fair to say by this point in time, you knew she was dead? I didn't know. You didn't know. No. Okay. But you had suspicion that was correct. Unfortunately, it was a thought. Yeah. Okay. It goes on to state, it is our understanding that the search has been organized for Miss Petito in or near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming, right? All right. How did that come to be your understanding? It was in the news. It was on the news. I thought so. And is Grand Teton National Park near Jackson, Wyoming, where Brian was when he contacted you? I have no idea. Did you say, hey, maybe you should look in the Jackson area, maybe not Grand Teton National Park? I didn't say anything to anyone. Then it says, on the behalf of the Laundrie family. So he's speaking on behalf of you and your wife, correct? No response. Yes, yes. It is our hope. So that's yours, and your wife's, correct? Yes. That the search for Miss Petito is successful and she is reunited with her family, right? Yes. If she was dead, she couldn't be reunited with her family, could she? Reunited is a term for either or, I think. Either or what? Well, deceased or not. But it doesn't say remains. It does say we hope her remains are reunited with her family. Does it? Well, or what? Pardon? Well, reunited means reunited. Okay. However, it resolved. What did reunited mean? When this statement issued by your lawyer, what did he and your wife mean by reunited? Well, you know, you're saying me and my wife, but I didn't write it, and I believed it was a good comment to say and a decent thing to say, and that's it. You approved it, correct? Yes. So did you have concern about the word reunited? I didn't think of that. Okay. Did you think that maybe it was giving false hope to the Petito family that Gabby was alive? I'm not the one. I'm not. I thought it was a good thing, and that's, you know, I thought it was not. I thought, oh my God, I thought it was a good thing to say and a nice thing to say. So you said what you thought you needed to say. Just say that. People wanted a statement, and I had to fucking give them one. Did you think it might give Petito and Schmitz false hope? No, I didn't. So you thought your reunited could be she's still alive. My thought on reunited was reunited. I see it as what the word has the meaning of, and I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. What? What? You're asking me if I had a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with it. So meaning, did you think it had when it was issued? Well, I'm not big on words, so my meaning is that they'd either Gabby's alive, my interpretation of the word, or not. You knew she wasn't alive. Well, objection. I didn't. That's not a question. You knew at that point she wasn't alive. No, I didn't. Why was this statement issued? Because there were people battering my house down. Everything was very difficult as far as us, people. It was a very fearful time, and so it felt like it was a time. It was demanded from me. Let me read that one more time. Why was this statement issued? Christopher Laundrie says, because there were people battering my house down. Everything was very difficult as far as us, people. It was a very fearful time. So, and I felt like it was a time it was demanded from me. Not because you actually cared about Gabby. We're going to leave it here. We're going to come back to this. Put a little pin in it. Say a little prayer for you. Thank you guys for joining me today. I do have to get going. I would like to read the rest of this. The good news is there's 29 pages and we're on 27. So Maybe I'll come back live Monday morning, depending on how much work I get done on my script that I am currently working on, which is about Ken McElroy, which somebody put that in my comments. And boy, do I wish I didn't take that suggestion, because what in God's name? Anyways, you guys are the best. Thank you guys for being with me as always. I love you guys. Bye.